Call the council budget workshop to order for September 17, 2025. We are going through public works tonight, so under the agenda it'd be public works, water, wastewater, and central garage, correct?
Correct.
All right, here we go.
All right. So we'll just dive right into it. The first one I'm looking at here is traffic signs underneath 101. And our proposed budget for 2026. We're looking at $5,800 for salaries. And then we'll jump down to repairs equipment, $2,000. Material sign blanks, $1,000. And then utilities, $5,000. And central garage, we're setting at $200. Any questions on that one?
So when was it that they replaced the signs?
What's that?
When was it that they replaced the street signs?
When was it?
Isn't it just kind of like a whenever you need?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought you were asking when the city last replaced the street signs. We replaced a couple street signs my first year, 23, a little bit in 24. And we just replace them as we go. If residents call in and say, hey, you know, I'd like to consider, would you consider having a stop sign in this area? We'll go take a look at it. We'll work with the PD to see if there's gonna be any issues there. And then, yeah, we might install a stop sign or, you know, children at play signs. They vary. And we have a bunch of requests coming in for stop signs on North Front, St. Mary's Drive, intersections of 4th and Walsh that we're gonna work on, getting them located and stuff like that. So you'll probably see, there's no salaries there yet, but you'll see those later this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Move on to the next one. Next is, thank you, 101 Animal and Pest Control. Proposed budget for salaries is $2,200. We're doing $1,500 for overtime. This pertains to mosquito spraying. A lot of times that's after hours and it's hard to schedule someone correctly because we have to look at counts, mosquito counts. We rely on the weather. So if the weather acts up, we're not spraying. It has to be underneath 10 miles an hour, no rain, all sorts of things like that, so. And then the big one is materials. We're doing $11,000 and that materials is gonna cover chemicals for spraying as well as replacement items for our mosquito traps that we have.
Did we just not spray as much in the summer or?
Yeah, so we have 2 mosquito traps going and what we do is they get counted every day. We have a spreadsheet that they get entered into and we have a, kind of like Grand Forks, and I believe it's Thief River. There's a number, a threshold that you want to hit before you spray. Otherwise, you know, you spray too much, you're just wasting chemical. Our threshold is between 90 and 100 if we're in there at all, or maybe close to it, then we'll consider spraying, or we will spray. I think we've sprayed 3 times this year, and one of them was just for ox cart days. For the numbers weren't high enough, but you know, just to help the residents who were out during the evening.
You say you do the counts yourself? Do you?
No, my street crew. Yep, so they go there every morning, they empty the traps, they're in a sack, and then they toss them in a freezer. And then once they're all dead, they empty them out and then they hand count them.
Do they break it down by species?
No, we don't have, a lab set up like Grand Forks does. So they just,
Because different species carry different.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
So different species, yeah, I took, last year they sent me to, Grand Forks to learn all about that. And so, yeah, it was pretty interesting, and they said only certain, species carry the,
West Nile virus.
West Nile virus, and then there's only a certain species that will attack birds. They don't attack humans, and they don't fly that far. And they told us, we changed our setup from last year, because last year we were using CO2. The city of Grand Forks only uses CO2 for mass collection. Otherwise, remove that, just use a basic light, and that'll give you a better average or a census of what's going on in the area.
Yeah, we should talk with probably some students that are interested in the project.
Sure.
Yeah, helping out the counts, et cetera.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Central garage, $1,250, equipment, $22,000. The $22,000 is for a new mosquito sprayer. There was a budget back in 2023 to purchase 2, but there was not enough funds budgeted at that point in time, so we can only actually purchase 1.
There was none budgeted for 24 then?
What was that?
For a new sprayer, there wasn't one budget in 24?
No.
This is CIP 500 series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or maybe was and just got cut last year potentially.
We didn't put anything towards that one.
that's true, right? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right, next is 101 dike and flood control. Salaries, $7,500, overtime, $1,250. Temporary, we're setting at $750. And then we'll go down. And we have materials, $500, contractual, $3,000. Continue down. And yeah, I guess the other big one, $1,000 for workers' compensation, and then $750 for central garage charges.
So you have overtime here also, is it because you're short staffed, or what's leading to overtime in this area?
What's that? The
What's
overtime?
leading to overtime in this area?
So overtime, usually when we're out there checking the levee, for flooding, it can be after hours, you never know. Last year, we had the guys out there a little bit. You have spring flooding, you have significant rain.
Sure.
They just have to walk the levee, make sure the pumps, storm gates are closing and water's not coming back in.
How about the temporary salary?
The temporary salary was from a seasonal worker who would come in and help walk the levee. Move on. Okay. Public Works Department, we're looking at revenues. The first one, license and permits, we offer a street cut permit where the crew goes in and saws the curb. And then there is a permit requirement for people who want to have that done. Intergovernmental revenue, highway, street. That is the,
That's state aid.
is that the state aid one? Let's see. No, the state aid one falls underneath,
Street?
my 220, I believe, 220.
Is this us like plowing?
Oh, 406 is where my state aid one falls. Do you remember what that one's for?
We went through some of the numbers yesterday.
So whatever it is, we've received 160,000 so far this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was making notes and I skipped over looking that one up.
Yeah, I think it was just the state, came in as state maintenance.
Oh, well, if Holly can look that up, I'll just keep
Okay.
going on. So charges for service, we have snow removal and wrecker fees, we set that at 4,000. Private work is 10,000. And just so clarity, private work is the reimbursements, and tax settlements, and it's reimbursements from the county. They come through downtown here and they'll push snow off to the side. Well, they pay us to pull it out of the downtown area. Garbage bags, we put that at 0, as, hopefully we won't have to buy garbage bags anymore. And then the garbage and refuse collection, that is the, fee that you see on there for $6 that everyone pays. I am collecting information, to see if we can actually lower that. You'd made a request, I think, earlier this year.
Yeah, basically after fall cleanup, you know, kind of combine both spring and fall, see if you're losing money or
Right, yeah.
what your cost is for spring and fall.
Because currently that money is going towards drive-by fees for spring, fall cleanup, as well as yard waste pickup. So that's why we're keeping it.
Sorry, so you are asking about if the new process, new methodology of picking garbage, if how that's doing financially, right? Is that?
Well, we used to, you know, we had a fee for everybody pays.
But now you have these big bins you can elect to put.
Right, so I'm wondering if we can lower that a couple bucks for a fee once we, you know, for spring and fall cleanup. I know that's a cost. Maybe it's gotta stay where it's at. But, you know, and I get it, there is brush and leaves collection too, branches, so it all ties in. I just wanna see what it costs to,
See if we can lower that for the
right,
residents.
or just,
So, for a lot of years, so we were in a negative on garbage collection, right?
Yeah,
So we wanna make sure we at least stay even, you know, if we can, so right now, where is the savings, or maybe it's in the pages to come of us not running the garbage truck, is that, on this page, or is that somewhere?
no, you'll see that underneath garbage collection. You'll see that the salaries aren't as high.
Okay,
For that one check, it's the mainly partial maintenance. We just get 2 payments a year.
Oh, okay. So it states here municipal partial maintenance. And I'm not quite sure what that is, but there's 2 payments in there for $74K a year. I will have to look that up.
So as a follow-up, this is revenue, and I asked the question
Yep.
on Monday, and I think Carrie had answered the question. So when monies come in, then one of the things that we look at, I would assume, is what percent are you making of those monies that you have resting someplace? And the answer was, I think it was over 4%. Is that across the board for all monies that are?
That's just for the
Garden
stuff
City,
that's
Crookston?
in investments. The bank account, you know, doesn't earn that much, but we don't carry a large balance. The money comes in and it goes out regularly, so it's not like sitting in the account.
Can you define what a large balance is?
Like, we don't have millions of dollars sitting in the checking account, you know, we've got our large dollar amounts in the investments. And most of what's in investments is in basically reserves for water department, cause most of what's in reserves is water. So,
I'm guessing, because I wonder if it's different answers for different people who come up here. I think it'd be interesting to know what the interest would be for those funds, even if it's $1,000, $100,000, it really adds up over the course of time. rather than, I mean, you can pick your banks, even if the city can do this. You can have it at 0% interest, or you can do it more than that. And even the credit union, what is it, if you have $25,000 in there, you're making 2.5%. That's better than some of the other banks. I mean, so we can pick and choose. I'm just curious, since I'm new to this, everyone else probably already knows this, but
Yeah, I believe the city had went out for RFP, was it in 23 or?
That sounds about right.
So they had to do the formal RFP process, and all the banks, if they wanted to put in an RFP for our business, then they did. And Bremer was the one that was selected based on what they could provide.
so the selection was based upon what interest they would provide, and then that. the decision-
I wasn't here at that time, so I don't know what they solely based it on, but they had to meet all the requirements of the RFP. The RFP defines, the things the city's looking for, if it's tied to a certain return on interest, those sort of things, but.
Do we have, was it Ellers off of that?
Ellers is now doing the investments, before it was RBC.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning of last year, Ellers, took on the investments. So again, similar process, and that's who the city went with. So I'm not sure if the city's locked into a contract, or if they wanted to change, they would have to go out for a formal RFP again. So we don't get to just look around, I guess you could say. They have to put in a bid or a request
Yeah,
for
because as
us.
an individual, I have an account at Bremer just for the family.
Yeah.
And it's basically 0 for checking and 0 for savings, more or less.
Right.
So the question is, I mean, I support Bremer, but
Right.
I can have my monies grow elsewhere at a higher rate.
Right, yeah, we don't get to do that at the city, because with it being the public funds, we have to follow the process. And I mean, if we really like a bank or really like the interest and they don't put in an RFP, we don't get to select them, so,
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So they have to come to us.
yeah.
Thank you.
Going down, next is the pest control fee, and you'll see that on your utility bill. Then we have the street light utility fee, which everyone pays. Going down a little bit further, there is the 4951, I'm guessing. People have questions on the refunds and reimbursements. That was the reimbursement for the, from FEMA for the Riverside demo that we did last year. And that is it for this page. Any more questions? Go on. Then we have expenditures for Public Works Department. Salary set 14,000. Overtime at 100. And then we'll go down to office supplies, 100.
The reduction in salaries is basically from not running our own garbage truck now, is that correct, maybe, or?
From this?
Yeah.
No, that's gonna be further back, that's,
So what do you attribute the,
so this is just a public works salary.
sorry?
This is just public works salary.
I know, but what do you attribute from going from $37,000 budget in '25 down to a $14,000 budget?
So we had a discussion about this earlier. I'm not sure what happened to the pay allocation within Public Works itself. When I first started, I assumed, being the Public Works Director, all my salary would come from this. I found out it doesn't. And there was, what was it? How should I explain it? What did we discuss?
So it looks like there's been highs and low fluctuations from like '23.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of looking for why so much fluctuation in that line item?
Yeah, we would have to look at my crew when they work, depending on where they work, dictates what salary it's coming out of. So I would have to look to see exactly what they're clocking in as. That would pull from the public works salary.
Is it just it could be moving to different?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if they did an hour in Public Works, the pay would come from out of there, and then if all of a sudden they decided to do, you know, their task was to go cut down trees or, do street sweeping, they would mark that on their time card and it would switch to that other account. Yeah.
So you don't know why 23 was so high? I mean, was that the year we had the flood situation?
I believe that was the year,
22 was the
22
flood.
was, yeah. I started in September 18th of 2023.
I'm just trying
Yeah.
to get some type of consistency, I guess, as far as what makes it go high in a year. And I mean, you're budgeting 14, but what's to say we're not gonna have a 23 scenario, whatever happened there?
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. I would have to go back and just kind of see where the salary was being allocated to. Because according to Holly's research, none of my salary comes out of here, so it doesn't involve me any. I would have to see who is getting paid out of here.
So why are you budgeting $14,000?
We're budgeting $14,000 because we looked at the average year to date. And then we did the math, we divided it by 8.
increase.
Yeah, and figured out what the monthly average was.
I get that,
Yeah,
but, okay. So your 23 is an anomaly?
I can't answer that. I don't know without going in and
You're gonna see
digging.
that on every page, Delane. It's, if we had a heavy snow year or a lot of storms with a lot of
Well,
tree
that's what I'm trying
cutting,
to
like,
get at. I don't
a
know.
lot of these accounts, they fluctuate a
I don't know
lot.
what it is, if it's
Year over
snow,
year.
if it's flooding, if it's, what it is, I mean.
I think
Yeah.
we would have to look at it as like what the entire salary is.
Yes, if you look at the whole public works area, what we did is we took what it needed to be for 26, and then, based on how the salaries have been paid out year to date, we did the calculation, so that percentage got allocated. Now, if they're getting paid in public works instead of in streets, well then, you know, the streets might be underspent, but this one might be overspent. But in salaries, they're not gonna go over that amount because they're gonna get paid out of one of the lines.
And it's basically also, Delaney, for us, a way to track that, what they're working on, if they're tree trimming, snow removal, you know, street cleaning or whatever. You know, you have your set amount, employees only get paid so much, but percentages are broke down in subdivisions or sub-departments so that we can track that easily. So even if we went over, say, in salaries, it's still pulling from or pooling from the same account, right?
Okay.
It's just split up amongst these, so they only get paid so much.
Right.
But, you know, like I said, if you look at some of the trends, like this year, 7,400, 24 actual, you know, 8,100. Like you said, some of these could be related to, you know, some flood events or something else, but at the end of the day, it's still pulling from the same funds, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that variation also helps explain some of the variation you see lower down, like in health insurance, when that's gonna fluctuate
Correct.
Yes.
400% cost years.
Yeah, if the salary's higher, then everything else to follow, like the FICA and everything will be higher. Where were we?
Perhaps when you find that information regarding delays.
Yeah, I can definitely do some research on the back end.
that'd be helpful.
Alright, office supplies, 100, miscellaneous supplies, 600, building repairs and maintenance, 10,000. Safety expense, 1,300. Contractual, 120,000. Let me look at my notes over here.
And if you would provide, because the contractual is so much greater than all the previous years, just provide a an explanation as to why that is, because it's what.
Yes.
Projected $120,000, and yet in the current, well, in 2023, it was $36 and then zero in 2024.
So. I guess I don't have that note for setting it at 120.
It would seem like it would be paying up front for like a couple years contract.
But so currently for this year, I apologize,
It's the waste management
Is it?
contract.
Yeah. The 21,274 for this year, those are the bills that we're getting from Waste Management.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Thank you.
So those revenues that we're collecting for the garbage service, those will offset this, because what we're doing is we're basically just a pass-through. We're collecting it from them on their water bill and then just paying it to
Going
waste
to-
management when they
yeah.
bill us.
Going towards that.
So is there a sense of are we saving money from having waste management come in, I'm assuming, is that what I'm trying to get at, is there a number that maybe we can possibly get?
Well, I mean, so far we're saving by, we've had one person leave Public Works and we didn't replace them, knowing that we did have two people that worked the garbage truck. So one got basically reallocated to other duties, and the other one, they're still going around and, I understand dumping the dumpsters.
Yeah, so currently right now, we have some guys still grabbing garbage. It's from only the city buildings until the dumpsters come in. We're currently working on negotiating that, running into some hiccups, but we're working on it. So they're grabbing that, and then they're picking up they're using the truck for brush cleanup. We're using the truck for fall and spring cleanup, and then they're also grabbing the public receptacles kind of downtown and throwing
So
those in
I
there.
guess I'm getting at, I'd like to see before and after picture. I mean, maybe it doesn't need to be now because we're early into this, but maybe, how long have we been into these receptacles? 4 months?
It was July, or end of June.
It was June when
or
it started, July was when it.
At some point in time, I'd like to see a comparison I'm hoping and I'm thinking it was a good savings for gas fees.
Well, we've at least cut one salary out of, Public Works altogether. I mean, because we never did hire to replace that, knowing that we would have a reduction in.
Because I know at some point we had a discussion that we're running, the garbage service was at a huge deficit. And I just want to see if that's gotten better.
Sure.
Just
Correct
based
me
on
wrong, I
what
believe
they
there's a-
have, it's like 160 for revenue basically on garbage, and we've got the contract at 120, so it's like a 40,000 plus is what they're saying.
Right.
Okay.
And if more people are added, then the bill will go up, but we'll also be collecting more because it's, dollar for dollar coming in and going out.
Wasn't there something too, Delane, where when we were researching all of this on whether to do the garbage or that, we had to purchase a new garbage truck? And wasn't that like $1 million purchase, if I remember right?
That
Don't
was
quote me on the number, but I
used.
believe with the investment.
With that
for the garbage
investment
truck and everything else, I think,
was
and we can
$250
work on
million.
those.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't need to be like now, but at some point in time, I'd like to see, it'd be nice
Some
to point
numbers.
out to some of the, because I've had some calls.
Yep.
And they say, well, how much does that cost us, and I'm like, well, I said, hopefully at the end of the day, we're saving the city money, and I'd like to be able to, since I was the one really pushing it, I'd like to be able to say, well, we saved this,
For sure.
so, like.
Have some data to back it up.
Maybe after a year or 6 months or something, I'd like to.
Yeah, so to kind of, I know we want to get through this, but to kind of go off of that, Waste Management has agreed to sit down with myself and the administrator and mayor and whoever wants to participate to possibly look at the contract that we have with them, but they want to wait till next year. By that time, they think the roller coaster of signing up and cancellations will kind of even out. And then with the numbers they have, they'll be able to renegotiate, maybe lower the prices or offer more services. Like the big one is twice a month recycling. So,
And so the last time we talked, we were behind on getting on receptacles. Are we caught up on that? Are there?
yes, yep.
So people have them that want them right at this point?
So it is roughly a 1 week lead time.
Okay.
So you sign up, and we just started a new process with Waste Management where I send off every Friday now, everyone who signed up during the week. And then Waste Management has guaranteed a 1 week kind of lead time until they deliver the bins. If they can deliver them early, they'll deliver them early.
So you mentioned cancellations. Have we had many of those?
Yeah, we've had a handful of cancellations, not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we do also have people who are looking at postponing their service during wintertime because they're snowbirds and they like to get out of here. So,
Yep, okay.
So you mentioned recycling to follow up on Delane's
Sure.
question. So that's a revenue, but then what about the recyclable materials? Are we making any monies on those in terms of someone using that for something? I know that the world has changed because China isn't taking America's waste anymore.
so we don't charge for that anymore.
Right,
Yeah,
but if you're picking up recyclables, correct?
we're not.
Waste
We're not.
management.
Waste Management is.
Okay,
That's
so this,
part of your- that's all
different, that's
together.
different.
Yeah,
The waste management is part, so the garbage, all of that is in one, so it's one contract.
so they took
They
over
give
our
you two
garbage
bins.
pickup and our
Two bins.
recycling.
So nothing that we're talking about here in this current budget is regarding recyclables.
No.
No. Recycling, it would have been till we handled recycling probably through June or whenever Waste Management took over.
So I reserve my question for later, is that the idea here?
I'll explain later.
Yeah. Okay, I don't quite understand.
No worries.
Yeah, I just saw a
Clarifying,
recycling fee on there,
Oh,
and on the previous page that you went over.
sure,
And
sure.
we're talking about bins, because where Delane was going with this, understanding, is it cost effective to go with a new methodology? And then where my brain took me was, I'm thinking, one of the bins that goes out, at least in my house, is for recyclables.
Yep.
And then my thought is, once that's taken, which I guess isn't under your purview,
No.
is what happens to that, and is that a money generator?
Oh, sure.
So, because it can be.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure who asked that to. So who do I ask that to?
That would be John Steiner with Polk County Transfer Station.
He doesn't present a budget here.
No,
County. I'm learning.
there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah,
clarifying, Chuck, so that $6 payment we all pay
yes.
for on the revenue side, and then what we pay Waste Management, that difference is what is hopefully to cover spring and fall cleanup?
Yes, the $6 is now just encompassing spring, fall cleanup and brush pickup. Yeah, it's drive-by fees, our costs at the transfer, at the landfills.
Professional fees.
Yes, professional fees. 90,000 for professional fees. You'll see the current budget was set to 5. My request was higher than that, and then when it was approved, I wasn't made aware that it was so low. We were still paying off, the CIP comes out of there, that AE2S was working on for us, as well as some of the other projects we did. So, Holly and I will be working together to make sure that we can cover that cost from somewhere. Communications, we have it set at 3,000. That is covering mostly cell phone bills and different certified mail that we have to send out and some of the notices we have to send out to residents. Travel and training, we're gonna set it at 2,500. There was the big jump of 5,000. For this year, we decided to lower that. I wanted to raise the 5,000 because we had some requests from within our department about proper training on heavy machinery. I reached out to the state, and they recommended this person from Kansas to come up here and do the training. They were gonna charge, after talking to him, his prices went up, and they were gonna charge $7,500 a day for heavy equipment training. And so we didn't use that. Working with Dave Lassard, he is very well educated and certified on different types of heavy machinery, using them, working on them, and him and I are gonna work together we've been talking about this for a little bit now, to develop kind of like a training schedule for the crew to make sure that every person gets into a piece of machinery for a little bit, gets comfortable with it, and Dave will take his time and work with them. Let's see, do you want me to go through things like liability and workers' compensation? No, okay, perfect. Demo contractor, you'll see we have that at 0, even though there are some expenses in there year to date and back in 2024. In 2024, we were trying to figure out where to put the demo fees for the Riverside House that we helped remove and then turn into a grassy field there. Holly found 0409 demo contractor, so we put those fees in there, and then another bill came through this year, so that should be the end of it.
If we do something with the old Tri Valley building, would that fall here?
I guess that depends if it's gonna be underneath.
Yeah, it might be under EDA,
Yeah,
community development. So,
subscriptions and dues, that's $500. That is for different annual subscriptions. We have, what's one of them? I think, what did I have listed? I had, the garbage truck license, things like that, that we have to pay for every year. So that's part of that, and that gets put in there. Central garage, 4,000. And then equipment, 59,000. And that is a combination of the loader lease payment at $39,000. And then I've been getting a lot of requests to update Christmas lights downtown. So I wanted to reserve $20,000 to see if we can purchase some new Christmas lights to hang up. Or holiday lights.
How much did you put on holiday lights?
20,000, yeah, and that would be this year, next year, and then hopefully purchasing them in 2027 after the downtown construction is done, so that they match and are able to work with whatever light poles we put up. And that is it for Public Works. Streets and alleys, still underneath 101. This is where a bulk of my salaries come from. So $360,000 to help cover raises, and doing some research with Holly. We discovered a lot of people's salaries are coming out of streets and alleys. Let's see here. And then 1,000 for overtime. Go down to miscellaneous, we have that at 600. Materials, 50,000. The materials consist of Class 5 gravel, asphalt, hot mix, just different things we use on the road. Small tools, 500. Safety expense, 18. Uniform allowance, 2,500. That takes care of the linen at the street shop and clothing reimbursements. Central garage at 60. And then we have equipment at 190, putting in a CIP request for a dump truck with box and plow.
Couple of questions as a follow-up. One,
Yes.
the first item there, and I know we've talked a little bit about salaries, but
Yeah.
just trying to grapple, my head around this. That,
Sure.
that people need to be paid, obviously, but I just don't, I have a hard time understanding why there's such a variation in salaries across the years. And I think you were explaining that a little bit before, but I still don't quite understand. 2023, it was 213,000, in 2024, it's 335,000. And then you have a proposed budget of 360,000, but
I think,
fluctuating a lot, just.
I think the proposed budget for 2025 was inflated and it didn't need to be that high.
So why is it that high then?
2025 budget was 492, he brought it down to 360.
How should I explain that?
I mean, that was prior to you setting the budget, was that right?
What's that?
That was prior to you setting this budget?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Took it down.
You know, just prior staffing and how it worked out, that was a number that was set. Again, we went back, did trending, what it was in the past, what we, you know, what's gonna be paid for this year, anticipated any, union increases or whatever, and set the salary more appropriately to where we know would cover, 26 costs.
I'm wondering if you're comfortable with 360 because ASME's gotta come to the table here for their negotiations.
Well, yeah, and we are still waiting for salary negotiations.
So we do have an embedded increase in there right now that, you know, again, we don't have to certify the final budget until, end of December, so we're hoping that those numbers will change.
Okay.
But there is an embedded.
You know, I wonder if it's possible, since salaries go from one department to the other, it'd almost be nice to have your total, all these different departments on a summary page of one page so we can actually see. You know, I guess I don't necessarily care if one department had a high and it pulled from another department. It'd be nice to see all of the actual salaries for the year for everybody on, you know, and maybe some of these other line items that pull from one place to another. Is there such a thing, or is that possible, or?
Yeah.
So those are the worksheets that, like, exactly what you said is what we do when we figure out these percentages and salaries.
Okay.
So each, you know, street department, water, police, fire, et cetera, we tally the employees for each respective department with their salaries, we get that number, and then that's how it's divvied up. So I know it's a little confusing, but, you know, for example, if the total salaries are 500,000, we divvy them under streets, snow removal, et cetera, it's still pulling from that 500,000, but those percentages are, you know, obviously that makes sense.
Right.
So I think that sometimes these different variations too, we just try to anticipate them at least more realistically within what the trendings and what we have to pay out.
Because what you're asking is that maybe even if he sends it out, is you could just be like 2023 or 2022, here was what the total salary was.
Yes.
24,
I get it.
25, and estimated for 26, and we don't need to break it down into all
I
of
mean,
it, just.
I guess it doesn't matter to me as much of how you fluctuate your employees from one department to the other. I guess I would like to see, you know, for all these different departments that you manage, the total.
Sure. So example, 2023, there was a total salary of 531,950. In 2024, the actual was 636,640. And
We can get you those
Okay.
graphs and charts, and we have them I think for most departments, it's gonna take a minute for us to get those tallied up for you, but, we can provide, per department if you want, what the overall salaries are and what they trended for the last 2 or 3 years, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and then maybe just for future reference, Holly, if we can, like, when we're going through budgets, can have like a summary page along with the budget. I think that would be helpful, and we can, you know, cause I mean, I don't wanna get into the weeds too much, but like which department was where I was asking why it was so high here, and
Right.
it'd be nice to see, well, what was the actual salary for everything, you know, and where did we come in at, and
Yeah.
Public Works and Park and Rec are difficult, and we'll get you those numbers. Like you said, it's hard to follow along when it's spread up amidst, against so many subject groups for like, you know, fire, police, IT, everything on one page for the entire department.
Yep.
So it's easy for you to see those overall numbers, and I get what you're getting at, so.
yeah, because going through here, you know, obviously I'm thinking just to myself, I'm like, well, it's September and we've already blown that budget out of the water. Well, so then I'm thinking to myself, well, we saved in other areas, so I mean, you know, the question that I have at the end of the day, where are we at
Right.
for the overall? You
Are we
know,
over, are we under, yeah.
yeah,
I think it also helps us to save time as we're discussing this, because we look for, there's a consistency across years. And then it sounds like it's all explainable because you have this master budget plan for head for salaries, but we don't know that. And then, so then we're sort of trying to figure this out.
Right.
So if it is sent, it would be nice that all the council members would get that. And then just to be able to understand and kind of be with you in that.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you don't have to field these questions from us anyway.
right.
That would be helpful. I agree with that. The other thing you pointed out was that truck that's $190,000. What's the format of go to, what's the process of that? So you,
On purchasing the truck?
yeah, so you use, was an IFP?
CIP,
CIP, what is it?
capital improvement.
Oh, yeah,
So that's monies you're requesting from
The
the city
council.
for.
yeah,
So my question is that, so obviously a dump truck is needed, but then rather than have requests like that intermittently, is there a way to help, to advocate for yourselves, is to have a line item of a certain amount every single year, such that, sort of this is what Shane was doing for the fire department.
yep,
Is- And then, so what, in that case, the fire engine costs $850,000, which the budget wouldn't allow to be purchased in a given year. And so you plan ahead.
Yep.
So then every year we say, okay, this is how much money that's going toward this, with good reason, so you can, so then, we're doing this with a constant amount, rather than 190,000. I mean, obviously, if it's really needed, then everyone has to sort of tuck in their elbows and think, okay, where's the money gonna come from? But I think it'd be easier on you, to have just a constant amount, a constant amount to see.
sure. Kind of like the reserve for the Christmas lights.
What's that?
Kind of like the reserve for the Christmas lights, asking for a little bit and
I
then,
think a little bit of, that's how you go to Hawaii.
Yep.
You put a little bit aside every year.
You had done that.
That's
last
been
year.
pretty typical for all the budgets, but we've been in a position where we've not been able to, we've had to pull that money back.
Yeah, like RC,
To
we've
cut.
had, like, everybody,
Tries to do that.
yeah, like, we had a 5-year plan for everybody with their CIP budgets, they had a 5-year plan with them.
Mhm.
Last year, we couldn't put anything into CIP, so everything is kind of
So you
coming
dropped
back
it down to zero, so.
We did 0 last year.
unless it was absolutely necessary.
And some of the departments even have 10-year plans on long-term replacement for like roof spoilers, et cetera, but exactly what Derek said, we do and try, but at the end of the day, it's tough to fund some of those or all those projects, so.
But even if you say that, that would have been last year, but if you look back to 2023, there's no, it's zero.
Because we weren't able to fund it.
So it was more than 1 year that was funded.
Correct, oh yes, this has gone for many
Yeah,
years.
they have a 5-year plan for it, but I mean, every year, we're having to make cuts.
I would say to extend past 5 years.
Okay. That's trouble.
Yeah, so, and in the past, when we've done budgets, it's like we've set the levy number well before we've even got into the budget. So for example, we'd say, okay, the levy this year has to be this. So then the departments know that, they had to go through and try to make their budgets based on what the council back then decided of what their number, this number that they purely grabbed out of the air at that time wanted to be. So then that's how all this stuff got cut. So if you remember a few years ago, we tried to do the opposite thing, is we'll say, okay, well, let's just set the levy up, giving the departments everything that they want, because we can work it down. We can't go higher, we can work it down. And we all knew that we were gonna work it down, but the mistake we did is that number, that high number went out on the estimate, the tax estimates, freaked everybody out. So we tried to methodically look at everything that the departments needed, just cut them, instead of just cutting them from the beginning, and work everything down and try to take a better approach to it. Well, I mean, I still like the approach that we took, but it was probably not the best thing we did by sending that number out, because it freaked everybody out in the city.
And I know later on, you guys are gonna be looking specifically at capital improvements. I just wanted to make sure to get it in the budget here so that there's no, shocking news come that day.
Chuck, regarding 190 for a truck and a plow, at one time, there was talk about with the plow to have, what do you call it, underbelly versus in front?
Right, yep.
So is that your plan?
No, this is a dump truck with a plow on front, like the trucks you see out there now. I believe they were looking at getting underbelly blades for the trucks, but I believe they couldn't get them to work.
But the talk was, in future, if we bought dump trucks,
to get one that would have that work.
that would have that work, because they're just gravity on the front.
Yep.
To where they say with the ones underbelly, they cut better.
Yep. Yeah, so the one we were looking at would have the blade on the front, and then it also has the wing. I would.
Wasn't it the thing for us not getting that or continuing was, the size of the truck, the weight of the truck? We'd have to go with a heavier truck with that ice breaking thing underneath.
What was that? You'd have to get a heavier truck.
Yeah, so with that icebreaker, whatever you wanna call it.
Ice break.
Well, like underbelly.
Underbelly.
Oh, the belly blade. You know, I'm not too sure.
Okay. So
I would have to do a little bit more research. I believe this one has the option to get the underbelly blade, but we were just going with the front plow and wing. And then, of course, the dump truck, the box in the back.
So back to what Dale asked, a little bit ago. The number that you put for the salary, with the ASME contract in negotiation right now, that's the number that you're comfortable with?
So I looked at all of my employees' salaries, and we were told to inflate it by 5%. And so all the salaries have been inflated by 5%. And then we took the total salary and then looked at the different departments, streets and alleys, public works, figured out a percentage of, the percentage of the total salary, and then broke it out that way. So if streets and alleys was 60% of the total salary, that's what we made sure went in here.
I would expect that contract will probably be fairly aggressive, I just wanna make sure that you're comfortable with that number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not quite sure the route we would take if it was more than that. I'm not part of those negotiations.
Right, yeah, and I don't know when they're coming to the table.
Yeah.
They haven't engaged yet.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they gotta reach out to us. So weren't they waiting for that wage study or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I know we're waiting on the wage study.
So I think that's what they're holding out until they see that, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Alright, that was streets and alleys. Next is snow and ice removal. So yeah, if there's blizzards, anything like that, if it deals with snow and ice, it comes out of this budget. So I was gonna say, yeah, it looks like in 2023, with the salary being at 71,831, there must have been a lot of snow that year, blizzards, or it could be a lot of ice on the ground because the guys are out there sanding as well. And that's another hard thing about all these budgets. A lot of the budgets I look at, depend, on the weather.
So FYI, I added all the salaries up. The 2025 budget was 788,000 and some change. Current actual, I may have messed something wrong here, but is right under 400,000 with the budget of 2026 of 638 and some change. So we're under the 2025 budget by over 100,000.
How much?
Over 100,000.
Part of that would be
With,
the person we didn't replace for the salary, so, I mean, that would be some of it.
With what, 3 months to go? 4?
Yeah. So what was budgeted in 2025 and what we have budgeted this year is about $100,000, over $100,000 difference.
So salaries for snow and ice, we're at 80. Overtime, 5,000. We'll go down to materials, we're budgeting for 15,000. The materials here, you're looking at sand, salt, anything else, calcium chloride items you use to combat different things during the winter. We'll go down some more. Central garage charge of 50. Oh.
It's interesting if for materials in 23, salary was 71, which would indicate a lot of snow. And the materials are less than the 24 actual, when it was a lot less in salaries, but more in materials.
Yeah, so if you look at the year-to-date for,
This year. You mean for this year?
for this
It's
year,
higher?
yeah, it's higher.
'Cause it's a multi-year, isn't it?
We have a shared cost with the county. They purchase all this salt and sand or this material, and it's brought to our bunker location out there. And then, we pay as we use it, and we share the cost on it. And I think there was a bill that came through that we saw, it was to cover the cost of material between 23, 24, and 25.
Okay.
So we had to make that payment this year.
Yeah, 24 to 26.
Oh, there you go. 50 for central garage and then 35 for equipment. And that is for another CIP purchase of a sand spreader for the back of a truck.
Currently just have one,
Yes.
how old is it?
I would have to look it up. I'm not too sure. Everything I pretty much have for my department's relatively old, but
Okay.
yeah. I could get you that number or that date if you need it.
Well, I'm sure they rust them out with the sand and salt in them.
Tree trimming is next, still underneath 101. You can see we're currently over budget with all the storms and everything that we've been having this year. Again, we were planning just an average year, and Mother Nature sneaks up on us. So 53,000 for salaries, 200 for overtime. Go down to miscellaneous supplies, 1,100. And then safety expense, 200. And central garage at 20.
Okay.
Questions?
Darren, will we have a number when we get closer to finalizing our budget, all of the CIP numbers and like on a page that totals them all?
Yes, so what the plan is hopefully by the end of the week, we will have our numbers on our operating budget. I will be sending out a spreadsheet of each respective department CIP requests. In order of priority, we'll have that for Monday. And the plan is to have our operating, what that looks like, and funds possibly available for CIPs, what that looks like too. So we will have you those numbers by Monday.
Sounds good.
I mean, my unfortunately, my thought is again, this year, we may be having to look at those numbers again, and I don't know any way around it. I mean, anybody else thinking that, or?
I think we have to weigh the benefits and the costs of certain services that we currently have and the services that we know we need to be providing.
Yeah.
And you know, as we've gone through, you know, working out different worksheets, the problem is I don't think there's a lot of consistency as we started, and we're, you know, finding some positive discrepancies, some negative, if you want to call it, or increase in discrepancies. So, yeah, we're still working through it. Holly and I worked through the last few budgets or what we needed to today, and we're going to get that number for you. So I wouldn't even be able to comment on what it is right now.
Okay.
Street lighting. We're doing 12,600 for regular, 200 for overtime. Go down to materials. We're setting that at 20,000. That's the annual for street light reserve. We put that in there. That'll cover the cost of new LEDs and just the materials that we need for streetlight repair.
So we have a reserve already set up for that?
Yep.
So why isn't that under like a CIP type of situation where we're setting those, we're basically doing the same thing, we're putting budget numbers in there, we're maybe not buying for the 26 budget, but for future years, so why wouldn't that be like a CIP type of?
I think what's happened with this one, with the materials, is that during the year, they may be using that anyway. So it's not just for one purchase or anything like that, and then whatever's left can be put to the reserve account. So a lot of times it's not the full 20,000 that goes to the reserve, if any, if, you know, they're overspent in other areas.
And what would that go into the unrestricted reserve?
It would be reserved for street lighting.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, it looks like in 2023, there was a major expense, it was $43,000.
Right.
So how, and again, we've talked about this in the past, how does money go into the unrestricted reserve? Because, and I know it probably hasn't happened for a few years, but if we budget, let's just say $1 million. And we at the end of the time, and these are numbers that we haven't had a good look at monthly because we haven't been able to get those timely, those monthly.
I've been providing.
I don't now, but we haven't been.
Oh, yeah, in the
You know what I'm saying? So we haven't been able to see what we've actually ended at the, and as the year goes on. So my question is we levy for $1 million.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we spend 900,000. So where does that money that we didn't spend, does any portion of that go into the unrestricted?
Just back to general?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're underspent in salaries and different areas like that, you wouldn't carry those over year to year. And then there's certain things where if they're in the middle of a project where the funds will still be needed, then they're reserved in these cases like that, so.
So it's always been my thought that if we budget for whatever we say we're budgeting for and we spend less, and maybe it's just a simplistic view, but I look at it as we overtaxed our citizens based on what we said we were going to. So then it's always been my thought that money should start out that money that we didn't spend should start out the budget as a revenue type of situation to start the process for the following year. Does that make sense? I mean, maybe with all the accounting stuff, it doesn't work out that simplistically, but it's always been my thought that if we underspend 1 year, we should have, like, if, in this case, $100,000, my example.
Sure.
We should be able to start out with $100,000 plus to start the next year. So is that, through all the accounting rules and different stuff like that, is that a too simplistic view of looking at that money we didn't spend?
There's a lot of factors that are going into that, and just because a person's underspent in one line doesn't mean they didn't overspend in another line for the same department, so.
Well, right, but
we don't-
let's just say after everything's totaled, everything's summed up, we spent less everywhere. So I get from department to department goes over or under,
Right.
but
Well, in a case like that, if you actually have the money sitting in your bank then because you over collected, then the next year when you're budgeting, if you need $1 million and you have that 100,000 still sitting there, you only have to levy for the 900,000.
Right, but-
So,
but-
I mean, so essentially you are reducing the taxes for
I
the
mean, at
next
some
year.
point in our history, our unrestricted revenue was growing. And then we got to the point which we couldn't get a good answer each year because of different issues. Our unrestricted revenue started to get down, and we're in the critical area now because we were overspending.
Right.
But at some part of our history, we were underspending, so, right, and money was going into our because we never budgeted, to my knowledge, we never had a budget item to go into the unrestricted reserve. So it has to be that the money we didn't spend went into the unrestricted reserve.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily go into an unrestricted reserve. It would go back to the general fund. And it would be unrestricted, but.
Well, right, so
Yeah.
whatever different funds there are that are unrestricted, that we could actually pull to start our budget year the next year.
Right, and that's what's been happening the last few years when they were overspending, they were pulling money
Yeah,
from
I
those
know.
reserves.
So-
So that's what's dwindled it down, and
I think your same example, Dwayne, is what
Yeah.
we could do, or what has been done, is like you said, first when we have any, excess or surplus at the end of the year, if that's a thing, to go into the reserves to build that, obviously currently right now, we're underfunded in our reserves.
Yes.
We need to get up to that 45% or what, but if we become over that, I think then it could be a council decision, like just hypothetically, if we had 60% in our reserves versus the 45 that we need, like you said, to start off the year, I think at the end of the day, what it would be is still create the budgets and then decide if council wants to put that money towards it.
And
To
granted, we're
see the
not,
difference. It wouldn't probably be on the front side, it would be more on after the budget's set or we have the numbers and council could make the determination to pull.
say, okay, we got
Yeah,
100,000.
100%.
Yeah, we have $100,000 we didn't spend last year.
We could, exactly, that's how we could do it.
Yeah.
We could decrease any levy amounts by using
But,
those
I
funds.
mean, for now knowing, because I've been asking for the unrestricted number for a lot of years, haven't been able to get it. Now we're starting to get a sense of what that number actually is. So now I think we're in the position where we need to start growing that number back if we possibly can. We're not in a position anymore where we can rob the reserve to start out the next fiscal year, but at some point in time, it's my hope that we can get to that point.
But is it that if they're already promised for something, they have to?
right, cause there's a lot of the funds that we have
Yeah.
are already restricted.
And those are restricted, like CIPs, that you have to, right?
Well, it's even more than CIP. I mean, the water department, between water and wastewater, there's reserves. that are for, you know, some of those capital improvement projects that will be coming that are gonna be multi-million-dollar projects.
Whatever the monies back in the past, many years ago, that went in to the unrestricted reserve, that's what I would be talking about. But like I say, that's for when we start to get to a better place in our.
Sure.
Alright, and then going down the list, I guess utilities, you'll see 115,000. That's electricity for all the street lights. Contract repair, 1,000. Our city employees are only allowed to do so much when working and repairing street lights. There are some things you just have to hire a professional electrician for, and so that's what that $1,000 is for. Then 2,000 for central garage.
So, I'm sorry, so when we get a bill for the water, and it says street light, $3. And that goes to help pay for that.
Right, that's helping offset the costs, yep.
Is it enough to offset the cost?
Let me see what it was for that one, streetlights. Streetlights, we've collected 108,000 so far this year, we have budgeted 160. So,
So did it, help with going with LED lighting?
What's that if we went to LED?
Yeah. With the
Yeah.
different street light, was it a drastic change or?
You know, I haven't looked at it at that level. Generally, they say they last longer. They produce more light output while using less electricity. But I haven't looked at it at that level to see how much we're saving.
Yeah, I just kind of wondering because that was kind of discussion back when they decided to go with the LED.
Yeah.
To see what the savings would be. It'd be kind of nice to know roughly an idea what it.
For sure. Okay. Street sanitation. This is street sweeping, cleaning the streets. So we have salary, 23,000, 200 for overtime. And then as we go down. Yeah, the next biggest one, 20,000 for central garage. Questions? Now we're into garbage hauling. This one's kind of an estimate again, because we're not gonna be doing as much garbage service. So the salaries, we're taking an educated guess that hopefully will be reducing the cost there. So this year, well, yeah, in 2025, we budgeted 121, 972. Currently, we're at 45,906. A lot of that is due to waste management taking over that service. So for next year, we're looking at 67,000. 200 for overtime and 1,000 for temporary. There's still going to be a little bit of a salary from the spring, fall cleanup and brush pickup that we're gonna continue to offer.
From switching to garbage service, we had basically two employees dedicated. So here's my question, and don't take it the wrong way.
Yeah, no worries.
So we basically have the same number of employees now that we did before, but we're doing less for the city. So my question is it possible through attrition, if somebody should happen to leave or something like that, I'm not saying we cut, I'm saying, is it possible to take these folks that we had in the garbage section and backfill them into somebody that leaves instead of rehiring for that position and keeping the, you know what I'm saying? Does that make
Isn't
sense?
that what you did?
Yep.
Yep, so that's,
They already did.
that's what we
They
did.
did with one
Oh,
We
position.
had one person leave.
Yeah.
From the street department. And so, knowing that this was happening, we, brought someone from garbage over into streets. So now we really only have one person dedicated to garbage, but that person also takes care of all the street light work.
Okay,
And they are getting ready and they're helping out in the street department as well.
Good.
Yeah,
yep,
So we won't refill that or backfill that
Yeah.
position.
yeah,
And
okay.
it may be after a year of this, that budget maybe go down even more.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We have to
Yeah,
figure
it's
out
gonna,
spring and fall.
it's gonna take a little bit to figure out where the cost is for, like you said, the spring, fall cleanup and brush.
And brush, is that once a month or every other week?
It is the second and fourth Monday of the month, but only between spring and fall cleanup. Yeah. All right, going down the list. Materials, 500, and that, we're dropping that expense because
Of the garbage
normally it
bags.
was garbage bags. That was part of the material purchase. Safety expense, $250. County landfill fees, we're doing $13,000 to cover those costs. Garbage billing fees, those are the cleanup fees for when we have to go around afterwards and pick up people's garbages and then, yeah, bill them. Public information, ads for cleanup, announcements, and then when we do get our garbage permit, we have to advertise that in the paper, saying that we do a service here in Polk County. Going down. Uniform allowance, 400, that takes care of clothing allowance. Central garage charges, 35,000.
That clothing allowance is just for one person and it isn't in any of the other budgets?
No, every budget, almost every budget has a clothing allowance. So if you, except for like street sanitation,
This one's the uniform allowance.
yeah.
Like it's not double counted is what I mean.
Next clothing allowance one was what?
Fine, just a question.
That was just garbage hauling, correct?
Mhm.
And then we're on. We're moving to weed
Uniform
control.
allowance under street and alley.
Okay, so yeah, Holly found under street and alleys that there is a uniform allowance.
And those again are all typically contractual.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Okay, going on to weed control.
I would just say, Chuck, unless there's a huge discrepancy between the years, we could probably just touch on the lows or highs of the budget.
What's that?
I would say unless there's, just touch on the large discrepancies, any major reductions or increases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7,000 for salary, and then, yeah, everything else isn't too crazy. Miscellaneous supplies, 700. If there's no questions, moving on to lagoon farming, still underneath 101. We're not budgeting anything for miscellaneous supplies. Real estate taxes, we're proposing at 6,500, and this is for the property out at the ponds.
What's the purpose of that?
We have a lot of property out there, and then we have to pay the real estate taxes.
And then we rent that land out, don't we?
And then we allow people to farm on there as well.
So the lagoon ponds themselves stay as ponds,
It's the wastewater ponds. Yeah,
wastewater of,
the city of Crookston. Yep, so,
so wastewater treatment plant?
nope, not a plant, it's, we have,
What's the relationship?
what's that?
What's the relationship then? I know what a wastewater treatment plant is,
Okay,
but the lagoon pond is, it's gathering the waste of the city.
yes.
What waste is it gathering?
So the waste from the city gets sent out to these ponds. They are treated with natural bacteria and organisms, help break that stuff down. And then there's a couple different stages that we have to monitor the water through. Once it's ready to discharge, we send it out to our secondaries, and then it sits there and literally seeps into the ground, and we don't
So
have
it's a
that.
wastewater treatment facility, but pond?
But with ponds.
With sequence of ponds?
Yes. Yeah. Alright. Alright, next is 210, Special Service District. So flood district fees, we're setting at 1,500. These are from tax settlements, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Going down to interest on investments, I was gonna have Holly explain that one a little bit better.
This is just the money, interest on the money that is like allocated in a reserve account for this special service district, so. I mean, it's nothing that's huge, it's just something that.
Is there a tally that we have of all the interest that we have for all the different investment accounts? We have, I mean, not just for Chuck, but for everybody, is there a number that we have,
Well, it's figured out like annually, or it has
well, the
been.
point of my question is that revenue that we could use towards, if we decided to just use the revenue from the interest,
Which I think Jeff had pulled from last year.
okay? And is that a plan to maybe do again this year?
We're not sure yet until we see those
But you could absolutely
numbers,
pull the
but
interest to
yeah,
use it, yes.
yeah,
So that interest could be revenue to offset the levy
correct.
that we could use again for this year. And when we get closer, will you have a total number of interest dollars that we can have, or do you know it now?
I don't know it now, no.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if the 24 amount, would be,
So you don't know the interest amount for the year until, is that what you're saying?
well, that has been behind, so that's why it's been done annually instead of like monthly. Before, they would allocate it monthly, and, so we haven't gotten back to that point yet,
Okay.
so.
I apologize, everyone, I do have to leave, so I'm sorry.
Next is penalty on special assessments, 289, and that's just money from failed to pay assessments on time, so it's like a late fee, right?
Yeah, so if we've assessed anything on people's property taxes and they've paid it maybe a year or two down the road, then when the county settles it out, then it was allocated to this. We don't budget for it because we don't know year to year what will be coming in,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, to the expenditures for 210. Salary, we have set at 6,000. Moving down. Repairs, equipment, set to 5,000. 10,000 for flood control repair. This is the account that in order to get the money spent, I have to come to city council. This is what we did for the big 5-year levy inspection. So. And then,
And
that's why you see we went over the 33,000. I I did not know that the 5-year levy, the big 5-year levy inspection was required.
So did that money come from that came out of our revenue, or reserve?
That came out of a reserve, yeah.
Came out of the flood thing that we all paid
So
in
it's a
for.
restricted reserve?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's a restricted reserve.
Okay,
So then the money not spent would just stay
Right.
there, yeah. Professional fees, we're keeping them at 10,000. They're higher there due to working with the engineering service for getting this report taken care of. Yeah, and then central garage and real estate taxes, 1,000, and then 7,500. Any more questions on that one? Okay. 227, improvement. Go down to the sidewalk improvement fee, we budgeted $60,000. That is collected through the, sidewalk improvement fee that you'll see, all the residents pay in. And then that money, just remember that amount, that money goes towards paying for the sidewalk improvements that we do in the city. We allocate budget $50,000 every year. And so that helps take care of that cost.
so not only improvements, but if you add sidewalks somewhere, does it come out of that line item?
Yep.
Okay.
Principal certified, 160,000. And then that's it.
So if a sidewalk, I know it happened in some citizen in the ward that I'm in. If their sidewalk is in disrepair,
Yes.
then they must come up with a cost to repair that, is that correct?
So let's say your sidewalk specifically has unevenness, cracking, safety concern. You could get a hold of the city. I would go out there, look at it, take a couple measurements. We have a type of process that tells us the urgency in needing the repair, low, medium, high, depending on what the measurements come out to be. And then we mark it off and get it ready, and we we go out for bid, and a contractor would come through. I tell them, hey, I have 10 spots that I need to do a sidewalk repair on. Get me an estimate. And then they give me an estimate, and they look at all those 10 different spots. And then if it goes over the $50,000, that's where I look at, okay, this one's a higher priority because it has a 2-inch lip on it versus this other one, which is a 1/4 inch and maybe just one crack going through it.
So the person whose property's in front of that sidewalk, they pay a percent of that, yes?
Not for that, no,
At all?
no.
You don't pay?
That's what this is for, is to go through the city and repair current
side.
side.
Because I seem to recall one of the people on my street where I live.
Okay.
That they paid money out of their pocket
For an assessment?
to help repair the sidewalk, so maybe I need to go back.
Was
to
it street improvement also though, or just sidewalks?
Just the sidewalk.
Okay.
So that's the question, I thought that was.
Yeah, if you have that person reach out to me, I would have to do some digging and see what that reason was.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, if you go to the expenditures for the improvement fund, you'll see we just budgeted $50,000 for sidewalk improvement, or sidewalk projects. Next is the 406 street improvement projects. Street construction, okay. So these are the funds that we get from the state. The state aid funds, determined by population and the type of construction we plan on doing, it gets determined by the state. And then, we get so many funds, so much every year. So far, we already have 54,901. And then this is what we use for any of our state aid roads. We can use this money for that construction. So the most recent one would have been parts of North Broadway, and I think it was Third Avenue in the industrial park area.
So is those funds a portion of the LGA we get, or are they additional?
It's additional.
So we don't budget for it because we never know.
Right, because it's gonna be dependent on what projects and what funding is available.
So is it, do we have to request it?
You know, I'm not completely sure. I know our engineers go onto a website and they can look to see what's currently available.
So like our engineering company does it for us?
Yep. Yep. They have access to this website. They'll go on there, they'll look at it, and then, you know, it's divvied out amongst everybody in the state of Minnesota. So it's different every year.
So is that 54,000 that we got actual, do you think that's gonna remain flat, or do you think there's more gonna go in there?
There could be more if there's any state aid projects coming up.
But for this year.
Oh, for this year? Oh, that I'm not sure. I would have to follow up with our engineer. I'm not familiar with
Last few
how
years,
often
we've
it's
got, looks
paid
like
out.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then, so this year it looks like right now there's only 54 grand in there, and my question is, are we looking at like, is there more coming, or?
Yeah, I can follow up with our engineering team and find out, and then get back to you.
It's, I think, tied to the street projects. So last year we had over $1 million in street projects, and we got $500,000 back.
Does it?
This year we don't have any street
Yeah,
projects.
it determines on how much street projects you do too.
Right.
So since we didn't do many street projects,
Your funding
get as
is
much.
less for state aid.
okay,
Yeah, we had street projects in 23 and 24.
and is that a reflection of us cutting those projects last year? Cause I remember we pulled off a year because the bids were coming in so high. Is that a reflection for this current year that we're having?
No, I don't think last year we pulled anything because the bids were coming in so high. I think we just opted not to do any street construction last year
Because of our budget situation?
because of our budget situation.
Okay,
Yeah. And then later, I'm gonna be presenting some, well, I think it's right now, actually. Yeah, right now I'll be presenting some street projects.
okay.
And then, so yeah, if you flip over to expenditures, proposed budget is 1,700, or 1.7 million, sorry. Yeah, and that is to, let me get my notes. That is for, here it is. So on South Front, we have a, maybe some of you have seen it or heard of it. There is a sinkhole that kind of formed because of some misaligned storm drain. The ground was shifting, it has misaligned, water is not making its way to the river. So instead it's just swirling around in the one area where there's the opening, and it's just creating a bigger and bigger opening, sinkhole. So we're looking at having that done, and then this is actually two projects. The second project is closing the loop on Strander. I forget if I'm saying it right or wrong. Strander and South Minnesota. There was we've had notorious amounts of water main breaks over there. And then during those water main breaks, we have to pretty much, it's not looped in. So if you shut it off, all these people and businesses are without water. I don't know if you remember that discussion.
Yeah.
So our hope is to, with this, we're gonna loop it in so that if we do have to shut off the water for a water main break, we can just centralize it to that one area, and then we don't affect multiple city blocks.
So this number that you're budgeting, is that based on some bids that you have, or,
That is an estimate from AE2S.
okay?
Yep, that's part of, the numbers came from their CIP.
Okay.
So, those were two proposed projects. There's other projects that, were discussed for 2026. But the water department, myself, and some other people thought this one would be a good one to get into a closed loop so that we don't keep affecting people. Just this year, we had 3 water main breaks over there. And so we had to just,
And is this down by that Marin Avenue area and that?
Yep.
is that where it's at? Okay.
Yeah, on there, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and then there's some businesses over there that would like water service, but because the line doesn't run that far, we can't get them
Yeah.
service to their business.
It's across the highway from the hospital. I
Yeah,
have 3 open patches on the corner of the block I live on, and there's one
okay.
around the corner, and that's South Minnesota. And I live on Leonard. And
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of them over there.
and just to clarify, Delane, we have this in there, right now, but this would, we'd have to bond for this. This would not be able to come out of general operating. So, you know, we've kind of spoke about that before, that's what the CIP that AES did. You remember part of the improvement plan for streets and sewer and everything else, so. This would be something that council would have, we put it on here again as a placeholder so that we don't forget about it, we can discuss it with you and everybody in council, but again, obviously this would be a bond for us to start working through the capital improvement plan that the AE2S put together on the streets.
Yes, yep.
Placement.
So I just wanted to get this on here. You know, of course, it's up to you guys whether or not we're moving
So will
forward.
that discussion for the bond happen before our, end of year?
It would, if council chose to bond for it, we could have that in place so it's funded at the first of next year. That would be something we would do later this year. You know, and then we'd have to work out those details. It's been a minute since we bonded, but I mean, you know, typically, you know, it's like a 20-year general obligation bond. You know, I think rates where you say 3 to 4% right now roughly. First year is usually interest payment, subsequent year is repayment. Usually 8% of the total loan amount is what your annual payments moving forward. So I mean, there's gonna be, those are other discussions we're gonna have to have because, you know, we bond for, let's say, 26 to do this street project, well then 27 there's going to be another, and after a while, these are gonna kind of, right, aggregate where we're gonna have a lot.
So then when we do the budgets, we have to budget for the bond payments when they come due, right?
Correct.
So it's-
Yes, yep, and some of that might be recouped by assessing, you know, certain street projects to homeowners, you know, on their taxes if they benefit from the improvement. So some of that will come back and that's what would pay your
So-
bond payment.
That's what's nice about like these street projects, like Holly said, thanks for bringing that. We would get some revenue to make those payments versus just bonding for, let's say, to build a building where we wouldn't get revenue back on that.
So then since we're doing, you know, we're thinking about doing the bond thing, does it make sense to find some of these other projects that we'd like to get done that we've been pushing off? Can you do just multiple bonds? Or does it make sense to try to get a good number of, just have one bond and get some street projects added in there that we put off for so many years?
Well, I think AE2S, you know, they got a checklist from critical to medium to low, so it'd
So
be.
do you think this $1.7 million is the all of the critical?
So,
No,
So that's my question. And should we, if we're gonna bond, should we look at all of the critical, a large portion of the critical?
Well, didn't
And-
they say that like
We
all
also
the critical was like $30 million?
yeah, so,
Phase one was 10
Well,
million.
So then is if we're gonna bond it, 1.7, should it be more, should be 5 million? You know, or something, if we're gonna bond for it, you know, what does that bond payment look like over the years and how do we, you know, maybe you
Right.
can work through, say, okay, if we bond for 2 million, this is the bond payment that we'd have to budget for. If we budget for 5 million, is that,
I mean, down the road, I mean, this is, you know, rough numbers, if we did the 1.7 million and 27, the payment would roughly be about 140,000 on that.
140,000.
If you did 5 million.
for 20 years?
Typically is what the amortization rate on that is.
Can you bond,
$500,000 you'd probably be, and these are so subjective,
Yeah.
I'll take more word for anything.
bond for more years?
I think you can go up to 30 years, but historically for general obligation bonds for cities is 20 years is usually.
20, cause a lot of times when we do assessments to properties, it's 20 years that they
years.
have to pay it back.
They take into, you know, everything like Holly said, the assessment payback, the life of the improvement that you're doing and what that, you know, all takes into consideration, but when you do the bonds, they would do a payment or, you know, we would have a scale that we
Yeah.
could present to say what year 1, 2, 3, 4 looks like, but you can do more than one at a time, or you could do multiple, it's however council would like to do that per each year.
Right.
I mean, maybe we should just look at some options if we're gonna bond, and if we need to bond for maybe a little more to do it, to get a couple more
Sure.
critical ones squeezed in there.
Do you have a copy of this, book?
Yeah, I think I have it here somewhere,
Okay.
yeah. I do.
Yeah, we could meet or whatever, we could sit down and go over it. They do have a list of, all their projects that they would like to complete. And then they have a priority, in the first column.
Well, maybe we should come up, I mean, you guys, you and Holly, and it should come up with how we, because they're all gonna have to be bonded at some point in time, probably, because we're not gonna have the levy dollars to get these done. So maybe we should come up with a bond schedule of how we're gonna get these critical, and start working on our critical areas and see how that looks, I mean. And make the best decision we can on these bond payments, because, so 30 million, like you said, Henry, I mean, that's we can't.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have to take bite-sized chunks, it's just how big of bites do we wanna take?
Right.
Like, I mean, we gotta start somewhere.
And I think putting together a schedule, like you said, is important because they aggregate and start catching up. I mean, AES had $100 million capital improvement that they presented. I mean, the bond payments on that would eventually be more than our actual annual budget that the city has.
Yeah,
So it's not something, you know what I mean, like you said, so maybe we pick 10 or 20 million if we can afford that. You know, you do 2 million one year, 2 the next, but all of a sudden then you have this 20 million that you're bonding. And you have, you know, this $2 million payment on it. So exactly, I mean, we definitely have to put a plan together to present and see what that looks like.
Do the bonds have to stay to the regions in which they were like initially bonded, so if the city were to take out extra on a bond for, let's say, these water mains that are residing closer to my home, would that money be used in other neighborhoods to address things as well, or is it just for that area?
I think it's for each specific project.
Okay, and like multiple projects.
We could put multiple projects into one.
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say, I just can't imagine needing that much more. We live, like, there are some small improvements, mostly alleyway entrance and exits, and then there are like, what, 4 or 5 roads that aren't paved, but they're actual streets. I mean, those would probably be like the greatest growing beneficials to Ward 1 in that section of town. At the same time as doing the water main, if you were to do those little extras, I suppose would be like the recommendations I think most people would just see and identify.
Absolutely.
Has the city ever defaulted on bond?
We haven't taken out a bond, I think, since the 60s or 70s.
I think it was when we did the water plant.
Yeah, it's.
That would have been mid-70s.
We haven't bonded in a long, long time, and the bond rates are lower, and so typically, again, you know, your first bond the payment or the annual interest rate might be a little bit higher the first time, because we haven't in so many years, but I think you're talking, you know, points, tenths of points on interest rate. And weren't they 3 or 4% right now in that area,
Yeah,
if I recall? So we might be on the higher side for our first bond, again, just to get our credit worthiness back with,
That bond rating.
yeah, here's the bond rate, exactly, so. Yep.
And then just going down, the rest, 406, 60,000 for professional fees, and then 400 for legal publication notices. That's for RFPs, and reaching out to the residents, sending out assessment notices. That's 406. All right, 410 is flood improvement project. We were looking into this, and I know I went back to 2020 and I did not find any money going into this fund. So we just left everything at zero.
Okay, that's good.
And then I wanted to jump to 701, I think, if you guys have.
Central
Yeah, central garage. If you guys have that readily available, that'll be a lot faster than the other two. So for central garage, we are looking at nothing for the revenues. Expenditures, 55,000 for salary, going down. 85,000 for gasoline and oil. This is in Public Works, the purchase of all fuel and oil goes into this fund, or gets taken out of here. Miscellaneous supplies, 4,000, parts and equipment, keep it at 40,000, repairs equipment, 42,000. Building repairs and maintenance, 300. Safety expense, 700. Going down to the next big one. We have utilities, 19,600, and then finally equipment at 260,000. My notes on that one.
To telehandler and your heated pressure washer.
Oh, you have it written down?
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Right here, next page. Yeah, so on the third page for 701, it's the 250,000 for a telehandler and 10,000 for a heated pressure washer. For the ice, the grime and everything like that, help keep our equipment clean and so it doesn't rust over. The telehandler we would use for hanging not only the flags, the banners, everything like that. We could also use it for getting things on top of the levees without driving a vehicle all the way up it.
So something like that, I mean, be nice to see the amount of time that you use it.
Sure.
Because those things are readily available to rent,
Yeah.
you know, instead of having one. Because I mean, I've been talking for years of finding things we can rent instead of buying stuff. So do you think renting the times you need would, I mean, obviously you don't wanna rent too much because then you could have bought one for.
Right.
But, so there's a fine line there of.
So the original thing that kind of started us looking at a telehandler was we had an incident where somebody was injured in our payloader. We had a special bracket based off of another piece of equipment or attachment that you could purchase. And OSHA said it wasn't OSHA approved. You cannot use a payloader to pick somebody up.
Right.
Unless it's, and if the piece of equipment specifically states you can pick somebody up with it, then you can use it to pick somebody up, but if it doesn't, then you can't. So in the meantime, we haven't been able to use that, the attachment, we had to destroy it, which is sitting out there and we'll probably get rid of it for scrap at some point. And then we've been renting Jeff Evers' lift, but we've been running into issues with that.
So, I mean.
Hydraulic fluid leaks. We were renting from CAT for a while, but that was between, depending on what piece of equipment was available that day, it was $500 to $700 a day. And we averaged needing that piece of equipment for 2 days to go down just to hang up flags.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's if you just roughly had a number of days
Sure.
a year that,
How much time we use that equipment each year versus the lease
yeah,
payment?
Yeah.
then take that and multiply that versus, owning one, and it's like I said, there's a number that it's like, well, yeah, we should have just bought one.
Yep, I can,
There's also a number that, well, man, it'd take us 5 years before, or 10 years before we could, if we were to rent one, it took us 10 years to, so that's the type of stuff that I'm looking at. Does it make sense to maybe, even though it seems like spending a lot of money for 1 day or 2 days, but maybe over the grand scheme of things, we wouldn't spend $10,000 for 5 years,
right.
so,
When would we recoup our cost?
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get something together for that.
And this is just an example of one thing. Maybe there's other things that a rental option might be a thought.
Well, I think if you're only gonna be hanging flags for 2 days, it doesn't make any sense to own a piece of equipment like that. If you're only using it for 2 days, that makes sense to rent it. I get that. I had a question about the gasoline and the oil.
Okay.
Are all of our vehicles, are they all fossil fuel based? Do we have anything?
Park and Rec, I don't know if they have any electric vehicles, but yeah, I don't.
We have a hybrid squad car.
And do we have any charging stations?
In Crookston, yes.
Yeah.
There is one in front of Bremer Bank, that is a free use charging station. It has 2 different types of charging ports, level 1 and a level 2. Then you can go to Christian Brothers, and there is a level 2 over there that you have to pay for, I believe. And then Crookston Inn also has a new set of charging stations as well.
I thought Ampride did also.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be of interest to know, again, cost effectiveness in terms of price of fuel. I mean, I think of the whole city, 75,000 maybe isn't that much, I don't know. But to look at other sources of energy and then, count the numbers to see where we end up in the end.
Mhm.
Is it prudent to begin to wean off that and use more electric, as long as you can still uphold all of your duties and your particular roles working for the city? And that's probably a real well-rounded discussion there, but I think doing a cost analysis on many of these things I think would be helpful, so we know that we're ending up in the right place in the end.
Is the fuel held at the highway department, is that where everybody builds from?
No, we purchased from Ampride.
But I mean, like, after we purchase a bulk order of fuel, it's all held through Ampride too?
We don't purchase bulk fuel, we
Okay.
purchase as needed.
Okay. And then it's all through Ampride?
Currently, yes.
Okay. And that's just city ran operations, that's not county ran operations?
Correct.
Okay, cause those go fill at
I
the,
believe the county has their own filling station.
right,
County
the
shop.
highway department building. Okay, I was just looking for clarity on if they were intertwined or not, or how that looked. Would it be a benefit to maybe try to intertwine and partner with the county in the future?
We talked about it in the past and there just wasn't a lot of headway with it, so.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I was just curious. Learning.
Okay. I think that is it for Central Garage. Next, we're going to 601. Just a heads up, you will probably see, there'll be some things that'll definitely pop out at you. I think, I'm not quite sure, I just took over 601 and 602 in April, was it? And so I wasn't really involved with the budgeting aspect. I think some budgeting that took place was not relayed to everyone, and that's why you'll see some overspending. There was an idea presented that they were going to try to take all the different pages and within the water department and just kind of put it all in one so that they would be pulling money just from the one account. But,
So you're saying we're talking about the water fund now?
601, yes.
That's 601.
Part of it, I think, is cut off on some of these sheets, I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed that when it went through the copier.
Yeah, water fund, correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Okay. So 601, we are looking at revenues. We have refunds and reimbursements at 1,000, nothing too crazy. Interest on investment, 6,000. Sales of materials and supplies, 3,000. I was doing some research on that. I might not be able to answer all your questions because I'm still learning the water and wastewater, but I did the research on that. And it looks like it's from us helping out either other cities or maybe another contractor in the area is like, hey, do you have this specific elbow? And then we're like, yeah, we have it on hand. We can sell it to you because we don't need it right now. Going down to interdepartmental revenue, this is all the revenue we're bringing in for the utility bills for water. So you got residential water, we're budgeting 450,000. The different apartments, 103. Commercial water, 345,000. Industrial, 550. Connect, reconnect charges, 10,000.
So, I'm sorry, so I'm understanding.
Yep.
So 2023, for example, under industrial water, the 7130, we generated $608,452.
Yep.
That's a lot of money.
So industrial, you're thinking like Crystal Sugars, yeah, some of our big users. Then we have non-sufficient funds charge, 20,000, late payment charge, 20,000. Water service line insurance, 30, and
Sorry, I
state.
have a question.
Oh, yeah.
So how is that amount set? Is that a contract with the surety company that you said, or is that a certain rate that's applied to all companies in the industrial sector? Does it change from year to year?
It's set by rates versus residential to light commercial to industrial.
Is it constant rate across all?
Nope, it's a higher rate for industrial.
But I know, but for industrial, then it's a constant rate across.
It depends on usage.
Yeah, based on
So there's,
Yeah, so the more,
More volume than it goes.
Right.
low.
Right.
yes. And that same thing applies for residential too. It's a set rate, but then if they consume so much, it jumps up into another price.
Does that rate change per year? If I'm a company and if I use the same amount of water, in terms of industrial water, am I charged the same amount each year?
nope. Last year we did a water rate study and implemented that for effective beginning this year. And then part of that is over the next 2 years, there will be, like little rate increases implemented. Basically, we weren't putting anything to our CIP for water main replacements and all that stuff. So that's why, they did a study and determined that our rates were like the second lowest in the state.
So they did a study, who's they?
It was A2S.
We went out for RFP and A2S, we partnered with them and they did a rate study for water and sewer within the city of Crookston.
So, okay, so then, because of that study, then it was identified that there should be some incremental increases in those rates charged. We'll begin to see those in the coming years.
Yes.
That's reflected in this?
Yes.
What about, in, I don't know if the other wards, but we had received letters saying that, and correct, you can school me on this, if I'm asking the wrong person, I'll be humble again, that's fine. That pipes might have lead in them,
Oh,
right?
oh, sure.
And where are we with that?
So that is a nationwide project. But we're, state of Minnesota, we have certain guidelines set by Minnesota, and what they are doing is they have this process of eliminate lead from the drinking water system.
Appropriately so.
Right? So what we're trying to do as the city of Crookston is we sent out letters and we wanna know, okay, what type of plumbing do you have in your house? That'll help us determine, your chances of having lead in there.
Has the water been tested?
Is the water being tested? Yes,
The
so.
water has been tested, have those values been shared with?
No, what happened, it was just, the samples were collected at the beginning of September and they were just sent out. So we got a hold of 20 residents who had to meet certain criteria and they had to say they wanted to participate in it. They certainly could not, and we had many of those who said they didn't want to. We were lucky enough to get the 20, and we sent bottles to them. They took a sample for us. All those are sealed, information on them, sent to a lab, and now we're waiting for the results.
So quick follow-up then, when those results come in.
Yep.
Will all those be shared with us here?
Yeah, I can certainly share them with us here. They're also part of the annual, I forget, it's called a CCR, I believe. It's been a while since I had to type one up. But it tells you how much lead is in the system, the different chemical makeup of the water in your system as well. So that's all presented in a packet, and we have that available to anyone in the city that wants to look it over. It's produced every year.
Yeah, and it's serious business because that causes developmental issues.
Yep.
For children, right? So when you have lead, so we're concerned about lead paint and so on, but
Sure.
that'd be great to bring
Yep.
material, information forward. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, yep. But yeah, as far as taking care of the entire city, it's an ongoing process. I believe we have to get 10% every year of new participants until we have the entire city documented for what type of plumbing they have, line going into their house, to the meter, and then after the meter. All right. All right, so we went through the revenue, departmental, back page. That's just a subtotal. Okay, that's it. We can skip over 601, water fund, water debt service principal. Nothing budgeted there. And we are now looking at page 5. 601, water fund, wells, water supply pumping. So salaries, we are doing $30,067. Regular overtime, 7,000, temporary 5. We go down to repair equipment, 16,500.
Wouldn't the para
Para?
oscillate with the salaries? The para would be higher when salaries are high. Am I looking at that wrong? For the under 2023, para coordinated is 49,000. That's part of the employee, that you get that.
Well, that looks like it's in parentheses, so there must have been a year-end adjustment for that.
So what does that mean?
Well, it could have been for the whole water department and it was just taken out of this account instead of divvied beyond or to each of the individual. I can't speak for it because I wasn't here in 23.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Sure. Cause it shouldn't be a negative number.
Yeah.
And then it was again in 24.
Okay.
Another adjustment in 24, yeah. And then professional fees at 53,000. Communication, 3,000. Power pumping, I was confused, I didn't know what power pumping was. It's pretty much just the utilities for out at the wells. It's 36,000. That payment goes to the Red Lake.
Red Lake Electric.
Yeah.
Curiosity on that, so in terms of expenses and testing of water, do we also test for pesticides in our waters?
You know,
Given the agricultural area that we live in, and drifting.
Sure. I don't have that answer off the top of my head. I know we do have an extensive sampling and testing that we do. As far as everything they sample for, I'm not familiar yet.
And there were hundreds, if not thousands, of different pesticides. That'd be great if you could provide that too.
Sure.
Just to know, is it being tested, our waters that we're using in the residential areas?
Last I read, they used a 6-dye process here. The city had come out with, or the water treatment plant had come out with a report, I wanna say about a year ago, and they kind of do come out with a report at some point or another. And they do use a traditional 6-acid color identifying test that breaks up the majority of parasites that would be found in our regional water.
I'm not talking about parasites, I'm talking about pesticides.
And like,
I'm
well,
talking about
and
like-
those things too, medicines as well as another one where they can trace medicine in it. That's one of those 6 panels of tests that they look in the water, and I think it's a federal standard.
You're talking to an aquatic ecologist, so I understand that.
But I can shoot you an email later this week with, once I get the answers to everything we test for, if that's what you want.
I think it'd be helpful for
Okay.
the community to know what, if we know what's being tested for.
Sure.
We already talked about lead, but.
Yep.
Like pesticides and et cetera in our water.
And then other improvements, 150,000. That is for a well field water supply upgrade and study. What's on that here? Okay, so this study is to help give the city more clarity on additional water supply options. And the upgrade portion is to upgrade the internet components out there. And we've been suffering with some connectivity issues.
With that, upgrades for the well, would that come out of the water reserves or the versus capital improvements?
You know, I'm not sure.
I mean, it looks like it's a pretty healthy fund,
Okay.
so I'm just asking.
Well, that is definitely something we can look at. I wasn't sure what can come out of the water reserves and what has to go through the CIP.
I get you.
I'm hoping to have a better understanding of this next year.
Most of these entities are trying to break up these large purchases over like the course of a couple of years too. Is that something that could be done with that?
I believe so. Like you're saying, reserve for, like how they do for the streetcars and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what they'd wanna do for the fire truck, like could you do that with this as well so that it wasn't so?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, it's just an idea.
Yeah. Page 6 now, I believe. Water plant expenses, is that right? Yes. Salaries, 36,209, overtime 7,000, temporary 2,000. Then we're just jumping down. Lab fees, we're bringing those to 7,000. We received a notice saying that there are going to be more items we're testing for. So the more items you test for, the more the lab fees go up.
Why is police and fire in here?
There are certain accounts that just transfer through other
To all
accounts.
departments.
Every department has that, it just,
Even though they don't budget for it, whoever initially added that chart of account added it to all departments.
Like a copy and paste or something.
Yeah, well, it's just a button you check when you're setting up the account and it just carries through to
It's
all.
just strange to see police and fire.
it is, and yeah, if you notice, there's a lot of that goes.
Under our current program, it's my understanding we can't remove them, right?
If they've ever had history, we typically can't remove them. I have been trying to remove them as
Okay.
I've seen them, so I would say half of them have them out of there now, but.
Well, Jeff had said before leaving that he was gonna try to clean up these spreadsheets, to remove all of those, where those zeros would be, when he talked to this group here. But I guess that didn't happen, he was thinking that it could be done.
Yeah. I mean, cause we're moving from a different accounting program, right, or?
Well, we're still in the same program.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest problem too, like Holly said, if there's any history there, if we delete them, it deletes that history,
I
that's why
see.
some of those still have to remain.
That's right.
6,000 communication, utilities, we're doing 12,000. Chemicals, 22,000, and let's see here. Yeah, so some of the chemicals that we're using, adding to the water, chlorine, and then fluorosilicic acid or fluoride, so, you know, good for your teeth. And there's a couple more, these are just the ones I remember from my initial tour with water operators.
And so in here, where would you put storage cabinet, safety?
Yep, and we have those.
And then, was that on here too?
Oh, to purchase a new safety cabinet?
No, well, you have your chemicals, which you store in safe areas.
Yep.
And those cabinets can be very costly.
Oh, for sure, yep.
$8,000 for a cabinet to store chemicals appropriately. Is that in here?
So with these chemicals, the chlorine is kept in its own specific room. We just have one giant tank. And we are working with a company, I think it's Hawks, and they're very respondent. They're out of Fargo, I believe. At a certain point, we have a process that once we get to a certain point, we put a call in. And then they come and fill it up for us. And that, when we put that call in, it still gives us like multiple weeks of chemical that we can still use. So, yeah.
Other improvements,
Other improvements?
yeah,
So
50,000?
250K, it is the main room in our water plant. Before Brandon left, he was trying to get this done. When water comes out of the ground, it comes out very cold. Travels all the way to our water plant. We have two giant tanks in there that the raw water sits in before it gets processed and ran through different filters. Those tanks create a ton of condensation in that room. And I don't want to say it's like a sauna, but it's wet. And so the certain plumbing is starting to rust. The walls are happening at the pool.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a call into a company out of Grand Forks, working with an engineer there. And they're putting an estimate together of absolutely everything that needs to be done. In the meantime, we got the dehumidifier working. So that's helping out a little bit. It's not as bad, but it's, if we don't get this corrected, there's gonna be a lot of work that needs to be done at the water plant.
Okay, thank you.
So. All right. 601, water fund, water distribution repairs. Salary 62,171. Overtime 2,000, temporary 7,000.
I mean, going all the way down, everything looks pretty normal.
Yeah.
Except, distribution repairs, what's that, that's, well, I guess that's not an increase. So let's go down to other improvement.
Sure, that 300,000?
Yep.
Okay, let me look at the notes here that we have. That is a CIP improvement, water main replacement. Is that the,
That's the 300,000 that they put in every year.
oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of learning this here. So the CIPs for both water and wastewater, they have replacements and upgrades that they present every year. That is what this 300,000 is for. They budget this much money for water main replacements and repair every year.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Water main replace, oh, we didn't budget anything for page 9. Or 10. Or 11.
Just jump to 13.
13, okay. So 13, the Water Administration Fund, $215,416 for the salary. And something crazy. Yeah, pretty much the salary on there is the largest one.
So it looks like at the end of this report, and I think this is something we've worked for over the last couple of years, we try to get it to be a net zero.
Okay.
Because we've increased the revenue to closely match the expenses. And it looks like at the end of the revenue versus the expenses, we're looking at about an 18 grand deficit.
Okay.
And is there any, since we're looking at an $18,000 deficit, is there anything we can do with the revenues to try to get that to be a net zero? How, since we made those increases, can we make them again to try to compensate the $18,000 instead of just accepting an $18,000 deficit?
And you're talking in the water fees that we have?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking mainly from pages 1 and 2. Is it possible, since the expense budget is what it is, can we look for an increase of $18,000 in revenue so that when we present just this budget for this, to be zero?
So there is something that we, when we were working with Jeff, that we kind of think will bring in some extra revenue. There's that state connection fee.
But that's with that added in there.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, I see
Yeah,
that now.
because we already
Okay.
had that budgeted.
Never mind.
So I mean, I know we did it with a resolution to increase some of these fees, maybe. You know, and we should look at our, you know, because in the past, we looked at our revenues like every 10 years or something like that. I think we should look at our revenues yearly, especially in this, because we worked hard to try to get it to be a net zero and try to get it. So maybe we look at our revenues and see where we
Didn't we
can.
just say that they did that revenue study?
Yeah, they did the wage, or not the wage, but the water rate study.
Even though we were down at the bottom,
Yep.
now we're probably somewhere in the middle, but
I don't know that it moved us quite to the middle, but
we're still at the lower end.
we're still at the lower end, and then with next year, so January 1, there'll be a rate increase. I'd have to look at the slides to see what it was. I think it was maybe, was it a flat dollar or something?
Yeah.
And then that will be the same next year too, so
So,
that,
well, maybe for the 26 budget, let's see if we can increase some revenues in different areas to try to get it to be a net zero. Is that something?
I mean, we can look.
yeah, we can look.
Yeah.
Maybe some in general fund of that department as well, if it's small enough, that needs to be mandated.
I mean, we could, I mean, at a net zero, Elaine, if that's fine, we could go back and probably find that money in this one.
Yeah.
Right, especially because this takes into account all that CIP
I know, but
requests.
we're finding budget, or we're trying to find money everywhere for different things. I'm just like, for just this
And
alone.
this was funding every CIP. If
Oh.
we even pulled one CIP out, we'd be
Right.
$250,000 to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So.
So then if, Dale's comment about pulling out of the water reserve, you know, that would, take care of those CIPs.
You know, maybe in the dehumidification process could be taken out of the water reserve.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's good.
All right, let's move on to the 602.
Last one, right? Yes, yeah, last one. 602. Sewer wastewater, so page 1. Jump down to the bottom, you'll see 15,000 for sewer line insurance, 780,000 for sewer services, storm service fee of 100,000. Nothing on the back page there, nothing on page 3 or 4. Jumping to page 5.
So I'm curious, the sewer lines and water lines, are they insured? If something goes wrong, are they?
Yeah, that's what one of the other it was water or sewer line insurance. So it's something that we collect from people on their water
So if
bills.
something major breaks,
Right, then we have to
you know,
run it.
extra charge, it's covered under the insurance.
Well, I don't know what the coverage, what it all covers, like, and what they consider major. Cause I mean, a lot of the stuff that, you know,
It's a policy, right?
right,
So here locally in this region, our electric company offers us additional warranties on these things as well as like residents with accounts. So like I hold a water intake line policy as well as an exterior line policy through my electric company. And that's across the board here in the region with Ottertail Power. It's not directly tied to these folks, but there is something here locally that's readily available, easy to manage, and is part of the utility already for water mains, internal and out.
We're on page 5.
Yeah.
Wastewater department expenses, salaries, 182,237, overtime, 11,000. Let's see.
I would say shoot to the bottom, but my question is the 2.2 million, and you would explain the other improvements,
Oh, of course, yeah.
just because that's a
Let me,
value compared to everything else.
let's see,
Unless other council members have questions about things that are above that.
where are we at? Other improvements, right here.
So this is the bottom of page 5.
Yep, so
That's a 2.2 million.
if you flip over to page 6, it does give a breakdown of what all that money entails. $300,000 sewer main rehab. These are items that are on the CIP every year. Not all of them, but these ones specifically. Sewer main rehab, manhole rehab, rip wrap for lagoons. And then $35,000 for a sludge and H2S reduction program. The 2 new items are from AE2S, 1.5 million for lift station 4 and lift station, it's supposed to be 5
Yeah.
improvements. It would be a new wet well for lift station 4 and control panel at lift station 4 and lift station 5. And this would also include the phase 2 project. This year, we are going to be doing work at lift station 5 and increasing, I forget the name of the street, the force main on, over by Groveland there. But they're going to be working on that and some of the upgrades from this 1.5 is the phase 2 portion from the 2025 work that we're gonna be doing in the fall.
And I'm sorry, and how is that paid for? We talked about bonds earlier for large amounts. So how is $2.2 million covered?
So these are just my ass in the capital, yep.
right. Potentially they could be a bond.
They would have to be a bond amount again.
Yeah, unless,
We could look at that,
or
the water reserve
the
too.
water reserves,
Yep.
if that was specifically being reserved for some of these reasons.
And then 250,000 for the wastewater master plan and model development. This is to help the city with the MS4 program and certification. Mr. Mayor, you remember getting that letter from the state saying that we have met the requirements for needing to apply for a special type of permitting and certification, and that involves us knowing what is going through our stormwater system prior to being dumped into the river. So this study is to help get us ready for applying for any grants and to let us know what some good areas would be for sampling.
Are you planning to apply for this?
Yep.
Federal grants?
I don't know what type of grant this one was. We're still learning as we go. We received a letter earlier this year saying, FYI, your city meets the qualifications for this and please prepare, and we've been going back and forth with AE2S. We've been reaching out to the state and they just don't have the information. The state hasn't sent us anything new. But AE2S has helped other cities with this project and they've applied for the specific grants to help alleviate the cost.
Yeah, thank you for being proactive and
Yeah.
it takes extra energy to apply for those grants.
Great. I mean, we don't wanna be caught with our pants down, I guess you could say.
No, that's not a good thing.
So yes, that's the bulk of it there. And then some other CIP for underneath the equipment. 100K for 2 standalone generators for lift stations during bad weather or loss of electricity. And then another ask is 15K to construct a shed over at lift station 3 to park a generator that we currently have at the water plant that as of right now can only be used at lift station 3. So why not have a shed out front that it's stored in and we don't have to dig it out of our garage.
Where's lift station 3 at?
Lift station 3 is, I don't know all the streets off the top of my head.
What neighborhood?
Lift station 3 is Stewart.
Okay.
Yep.
One by the dog park,
What's that?
one by the dog park,
No, that one is lift station 4.
oh, straight down.
Yep.
Sewer lines.
So. And that's that for that. And then sewer line service, yeah. We have 16,000 for materials, and then 12,000 for contracted services.
Okay, questions?
So much.
All right,
Just real quick again, sorry to butt in.
Yeah.
Reminder, 22nd, library airport CIP discussion. Kind of have a comment just a little bit of what Delane, we will have the operating budget, what that looks like, so we can kind of have an idea of what we need or how we can fund any of the CIPs. 24th, remember nonprofit grant presentations, and the 29th will be an actual council meeting to set the preliminary levy. And then we'll certify that on Tuesday, the next day with the county, so that's
where we're at.
Is the special on the 29th or the 30th? Cause was it another budget workshop on the 29th with the special on the 30th?
The special meeting's on the 29th.
Yeah.
Oh, it is,
I think we're
okay.
doing it on the 29th,
Okay.
otherwise we'd be past our deadline.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the plan, so, okay, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we are adjourned.